How do they affect us? How should we approach someone going through these problems? We are here to answer these questions for you. So let's begin.
So the first disorder we are going to talk about is depression. Let us know what depression means. Depression is a mood disorder that involves a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. Depression is an ongoing problem, not a passing one. It consists of episodes during which the symptoms last for at least 2 weeks. Depression can last for several weeks, months, or even for years. So let us know what are the symptoms of depression. The first is feeling sad, empty, or anxious. A depressive person is always feeling very much sad. Then the second symptom would be feeling helpless, worthless, hopeless, or guilty, or even less energetic. Trouble concentrating, changes in the way they sleep. Like either they'll sleep for very long hours or either they'll not be able to sleep. Then changes in appetite, either they will eat very much or will not feel like eating. So let us look at the ways how we can approach to a depressive person. The first is ask how can you help them, then urge them to talk to a doctor so that the doctor might help them. Then ask them if they want to talk, remind them that they matter, remind them it's okay to feel this way, assure them they are not weak or defective, and emphasize that there's hope.
Oh gosh, Annalisa, you don't look too good. Did you sleep at all last night?
Not really. I have been feeling sad for the past month, and I don't know why. I used to like spending time with my friends too, but now I'm just not interested. I haven't been able to sleep and tossed and turned all night. And it's happening more and more. I can't focus and it's affecting my grades this semester. I don't have the energy to try anymore. After a few weeks of sleepless nights, I decided to go to Student Health Services and speak with a nurse practitioner. They checked me out and recommended I see a university counselor to help figure out what was going on. I made an appointment with the university psychologist, and after talking and describing my symptoms to her, she diagnosed me with major depressive disorder.
Major depressive disorder, or MDD, is a common but serious mood disorder that impacts the way a person feels, thinks, and behaves. It consists of feelings of hopelessness and sadness, and can have an impact on daily activities like eating, sleeping, and working. To be diagnosed with MDD, it requires a number of different symptoms to be present nearly every day for at least 2 weeks. MDD may impact your sleep. Symptoms may include insomnia, difficulty staying asleep, and sleeping too much. While these symptoms on their own may not be worrisome, when they persist, they are important signs to pay serious attention to. Never ignore major changes to your sleep patterns, as they may be clues to underlying mental health issues.
In addition to treatment of my other MDD symptoms, my therapist suggested that I make some changes to something she called my sleep hygiene to help me with my insomnia. Sleep hygiene is the habits and choices that promote healthy sleep. Sleep hygiene includes things like staying away from stimulants such as caffeine or nicotine, as well as electronic devices close to bedtime, and making sure I get regular exercise. Scheduling regular sleep time and making sure your bedroom is comfortable and quiet encourages a relaxed mood and promotes healthier sleep. My therapist explained to me that if I worked on improving my sleep hygiene, then the other symptoms related to my depression could become easier to manage.
In addition to using the sleep hygiene tips, There are other steps you can take to help your sleep symptoms and MDD, like psychotherapy, also known as talk therapy, can be an effective option in treating both MDD and in decreasing insomnia. Talk with your doctor about prescribed or over-the-counter sleep medication. You should speak to your doctor and take only as directed. There are also prescribed antidepressant medications. These types of medications are aimed at addressing mood-related symptoms and may have an effect on your sleep. Speak with your doctor about all of your symptoms, including sleep, when deciding on a treatment strategy.
I'm still taking medication for my MDD, and after making changes to my sleep hygiene, I've noticed that my sleep has become more manageable. I'm trying to get on a regular sleep schedule. I've also cut way back on my caffeine. Just one coffee in the morning, and it's made a huge difference. I feel that I now have the tools and support I need to be able to recognize and manage my sleep issues. I've also made a lot of improvement on waking up after a night's sleep. I feel better prepared to take on the day. Bring it on.
So, our next disorder is anxiety. Anxiety is characterized by the feelings of worry, fear that are strong enough to affect our day-to-day lives. It is either caused by some traumatic event which has affected our brain, or the area which controls fear in the brain is impacted. Here are some symptoms: nervousness, restlessness, or being tense, feelings of danger and panic, rapid heartbeat and breathing, heavy sweating, trembling, weakness and difficulty in focusing, insomnia, and panic attacks. Usually, people with anxiety disorder suffer from panic attacks, which last for more than 10 minutes. As a responsible human being, we should know how to calm someone or ourselves down from these attacks. Here are some tips. Use deep breathing, like this. Take a deep breath in, hold it, count till 5, and release it slowly. You should repeat this step for 5 to 10 minutes. Then ask the person suffering through the attack to describe 5 things they see, 4 sounds they hear, 3 things they feel, 2 things they smell, and a thing they taste. This will create a distraction from the attack, eventually calming them down. Ask them to picture a happy place and repeat a certain mantra. How can we approach a person with anxiety? Offer them support, but don't take over. Urge them to visit a specialist.
There's no way I'm going to pass this exam. I don't even want to show up.
I was so uncomfortable at that party. It was hard for me to breathe and I got all sweaty. I had to leave.
I won't go to sleep or leave the house unless I've made sure the stove is off and the doors are locked. Sometimes I do this 3 or 4 times.
I have to get to the airport 5 hours early. You just never know what might happen. These are the voices of people who have experienced anxiety. Anxiety is a common reaction to life events, like taking a final exam or speaking in front of a crowd. But when it becomes really uncomfortable and makes day-to-day life hard to live, then it's a problem, or even what we call a disorder. I know. I've lived with anxiety for a long time. My own anxiety feels like it's about everything. I worry about so many things in so many ways, and it impacts my life big time. I stress about things that are about to happen or might happen, and it means I can't really focus on where I am or who I'm with. Sometimes my heart pounds, I speak really fast, and I kind of snap at people. My family gets really frustrated with me. When it's really bad, I have a knot in my stomach all the time. I can even feel depressed, and then I just want to be alone. I feel like if I do something, I'll screw it up or something will go wrong. So a lot of times, I'd just rather avoid it all. I feel so much better staying home and maybe having a drink. Turns out, anxiety is a very common mental health symptom. It can be the main sign of generalized anxiety disorder, which I have, or or social anxiety disorder, which is when people have a fear of being in public or meeting new people. For those of us with social or generalized anxiety disorders, it's really difficult to live the way we want to live. Some people have anxiety about really specific things. They are afraid of heights, snakes, spiders, or something else. These are called phobias, and when people avoid these things, the anxiety mostly stays away. But when people can't avoid their phobias, it is a real problem. Some people experience anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder, or obsessive compulsive disorder, which can make people really overcome with anxiety. In these conditions, anxiety can be so intense that people are at risk for suicide, and they use alcohol or drugs to cope, and sometimes their lives feel like they come to a halt. I'm one of the lucky ones. My doctor told me how to get the treatment that would help me, and it did. I understand now what my anxiety feels like, when it happens, and what I can do about it. I learned some great coping skills, and even just naming it keeps it in perspective. Sometimes my anxiety can still get pretty big, but it doesn't seem to last quite as long as it used to. My anxiety was treatable. For most people, this is true. You can get your life back to where you want it to be. I know. I've got mine back.
Excessive thoughts, obsessions that lead to repetitive behaviors, that is compulsions, is referred to as OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder is characterized by unreasonable thoughts and fears, that is obsessions, that lead to compulsive behaviors. OCD often centers on themes such as a fear of germs or the need to arrange objects in a specific manner. Symptoms usually begin gradually and vary throughout life. Treatment includes talk therapy, medication, or both. More than 1 million cases are found in India per year. Treatment can help, but this condition can't be cured. Its symptoms are cleaning and hand washing, checking, such as checking doors are locked or that the gas is off, counting, ordering and arranging, holding, asking for reassurance, repeating words in the head, thinking neutralizing thoughts to counter the obsessive thoughts, avoiding places and situations that could trigger obsessive thoughts. Not all compulsive behaviors will be obvious to other people. What is the way of approach? Refer yourself directly to a psychological therapist service or find a psychological therapist service in your area. See a GP, they'll recommend you something.
No matter what I tried, the thoughts kept coming. I had horrible thoughts about hurting my fiance. The only thing that made them go away was counting by tens.
I knew I unplugged my curling iron every morning. I was positive I did. But as soon as I got out the door, the thoughts started. Thoughts that I left it on and that it would start a fire. I had to go back and check, again and again.
My apartment building has a speed bump on the way out. Every time I drove over it, I was terrified I ran someone over. I had to turn around, get out, and check. I never got out of my parking lot.
Every public surface I touched felt full of germs. The only way I'd feel better was to wash my hands. I did it 20 times a day sometimes even more.
These are the voices of obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. OCD is a serious condition that causes great stress and really impacts people's lives. People become overwhelmed by their thoughts and anxiety and feel like hostages to the rituals that help take away that anxiety. I know. One of these voices is mine. People with OCD experience obsessions, which are specific thoughts that are intense and intrusive. People don't choose to have them, and they're often very distressing. Obsessions make it hard to concentrate or get anything done. A lot of times, these thoughts are about germs or safety, but they could be about anything, really. In my case, it was my curling iron. If you asked me, I would tell you I know I unplugged it. I remember doing it. But the thoughts that I didn't were so strong, telling me I left it on. It was so scary, and it made me feel unsafe, like my house might burn down, all because of my curling iron. The second symptom of OCD is compulsions. These are ritual behaviors, and people with OCD do them to help deal with the anxiety, horror, or distress they feel because of their obsessive thoughts. There are many types of compulsive behaviors, but they often focus on washing or cleaning, checking on things for safety, or repeating words or numbers. In my case, I had to check on that curling iron. I came back to my house, went upstairs, saw it was unplugged, left again for work, and then I would repeat it all over again. It was really tough for me to get to work on any given day. I knew I didn't need to do this at all, but it felt totally out of control. There's good news. OCD is treatable. Several types of treatment are effective, and people with OCD can overcome their obsessive thoughts and ritual behaviors that have controlled their lives. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is the most effective treatment. In CBT, people work hard to challenge their thoughts and change the behaviors that follow. There is a specific type of CBT that is used just for those of us with OCD. It's called Exposure and Response Prevention, or ERP, and it works to help us delay or resist ritual compulsions and cope with the resulting anxiety in a different manner. Over time, the anxiety becomes less disruptive and can even disappear. In addition, many people find relief from a specific medication that helps with getting those obsessive thoughts under control. Several SSRIs are used with OCD, and they really make a difference for a lot of people. A combination of ERP and medication is often the best choice for many people. It was for me. The medication took the edge off my anxiety, and my thoughts about the curling iron got a lot less distressing. In therapy, I learned how to postpone going back to check on it. It was so hard at first, but my therapist guided me in doing this, and I learned to get through the anxiety. Eventually, I proved to myself I could do it. Obsessive-compulsive disorder really changes people's lives, often causing them to feel like the disturbing thoughts and rituals have power over them. But with evidence-based treatment, it doesn't have to be that way. People can learn to challenge their thoughts and manage their behavior. They can take control of their lives again. I know. I did.
Anger issues, also known as anger management. Anger management is a psychotherapeutic program of anger prevention and control. It has been described as developing anger successfully. Anger is frequently a result of frustration or of feeling blocked or thwarted from something the subject feels is important. Anger can also be a defensive response to underlying fear or feeling of powerlessness. Anger management program consider anger to be a motivation caused by an identifiable reason which can be logically analyzed and if suitable work toward. Symptoms of anger management are irritability, frustration, anxiety, rage, stress, feeling overwhelmed, guilt. Way of approach for anger management are: don't ignore the person, be open to listening what they have to say, keep your voice calm when they are upset, try to talk things through, acknowledge their distress, don't feel like you back down if you disagree, avoid pushing advice or opinion on them.
After a long shift at the hospital, I get angry over the smallest things. I find myself quickly annoyed.
When I'm at the store, I see people who aren't social distancing. I feel like screaming at everyone. You are going to get us all sick.
Last night, my partner asked me when I think I'll be able to come out of self-quarantine. I just blew up at her. I feel so guilty. It's not her fault. Why am I taking this out on her?
Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, people's emotions have been running high, including hostility, irritability, and anger. It might come in the form of impatience at the people you're living with, not being used to spending quite this much time together. It could be rage at people you see on the news or social media that aren't following social distancing guidelines, or anger at the general unfairness of it all. It may also be fear or worry for yourself or loved ones expressed as anger. Often, when we get mad, it's because anger is easier and more comfortable to express in the moment than admitting to ourselves or others that we're feeling stressed, scared, embarrassed, insecure, or sad. these emotions may be taking the form of anger. Anger is not inherently bad, but if you express it in harmful ways, it can negatively impact your health and relationships with others. The important thing is to recognise when you're feeling it and respond in a safe, healthy way. To manage anger, know your triggers and learn to recognise signs that you're becoming angry. Signs could include being less patient than usual, tension in your shoulders or jaw, racing heartbeat, feeling flushed or warmer than usual. When you realise that you're feeling angry, take steps to calm down. Practice deep breathing. Go for a walk, run. Distract yourself by reading or listening to music. Take some time alone. Identify other emotions that could be the source of your anger, like worry, sadness, or grief. Address the emotions that might be causing your anger. Think of your anger as a balloon. Find ways to let the air out slowly and safely, rather than allowing it to fill up until it pops. Remember, this is not a normal situation, so most of us aren't feeling normal, and that's okay. But we can try to respond to those feelings as best we can by practicing how to recognise anger, identifying its source, and practicing the unique skills that help you calm down.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, a disorder characterized by failure to recover after experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event. The condition may last months or years, with triggers that can bring back memories of the trauma, accompanied by intense emotional and physical reactions. Its symptoms may include nightmares or flashbacks, avoidance of situations that bring the trauma, heightened reactivity to stimuli, anxiety or depressed mood. People may also experience behavioral agitation, irritability, hostility, hypervigilance, self-destructive behavior, or social isolation, psychological flashback, fear, severe anxiety, or mistrust. It also depends on the mood of loss of interest or pleasure in activities, guilt, or loneliness, sleep insomnia or nightmares, and it's also common of emotional detachment or unwanted thoughts. Several types of psychological therapy, also called talk therapy, may be used to treat children and adults with suffering with PTSD. Some types of psychotherapy used in PTSD treatment include cognitive therapy. This type of talk therapy helps you recognize the ways of thinking that are keeping you stuck. For example, negative beliefs about yourself and the risk of traumatic things happening again and again. Exposure therapy. This behavioral therapy helps you safely face both the situations and memories that you find frightening so that you can learn to cope up with them effectively. Eye movement decentralization and reprocessing, EMDR. EMDR combines exposure therapy with a series of guided eye movements that help you process traumatic memories and change how to react to them. Triggers can also include sights, sounds, smells, or thoughts that remind you of the traumatic event in some way. Some PTSD triggers are obviously, such as seeing a news report of an assault. Others are less clear. Let's take an example. If you are attacked on a sunny day, seeing a bright blue sky make you upset. Knowing your triggers can help you better to cope up with your PTSD.
I can't live this way anymore. These nightmares are unbearable.
I don't know why I don't feel safe anywhere. I just stay inside. None of it makes sense.
I have to try something else. Nothing has worked. My relationships are broken.
Tell me what to do. I feel like I'm spinning out of control.
These are the voices of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. PTSD can develop after people live through or see something awful or very dangerous, which is known as trauma. When people experience trauma, they react pretty reasonably. They want to get away from the danger and not go back. Usually, once the danger passes, People readjust and start to feel better. But for some, the reaction sticks in place and they feel like they're unsafe all the time. That is PTSD. The good news is that PTSD can be treated. Prolonged exposure, or PE, is one type of therapy that works especially well. PE is evidence-based, which means it's been proven to be effective more often than other types of therapy. During PE, the person with PTSD tells the story of the trauma from memory. This can feel very upsetting in the beginning, but because the story is being told to a trusted therapist, it becomes easier over time. The person repeats the story, and eventually the memory becomes less powerful. The incident never loses importance in someone's life, so it's not like someone gets over it or finally deals with it or forgets about it, but it becomes a memory rather than feeling like it's still happening. In another part of PE, people practice situations that feel dangerous but probably aren't. Maybe this is a crowded restaurant or driving through a neighborhood. Maybe it's traffic during rush hour or making eye contact with others. Whatever people avoid because of how they feel, they practice facing as part of PE. This doesn't mean people enjoy driving in rush hour traffic or being in crowds, but those things no longer feel too dangerous to do. By retelling a difficult memory and practicing being in places that feel dangerous, people tend to readjust to their lives. They start to feel at home in the world again, rather than being on guard and reluctant to be around other people. Those who have been drinking or using substances to manage are often able to cut down their use. People start to go out, resuming their lives and relationships again. Sometimes this can happen really quickly, even after someone's experienced sexual assault, child abuse, combat, or other traumatic things. And prolonged exposure therapy doesn't take that long. It typically takes about 3 months of weekly appointments. Sometimes it can be done more quickly, and sometimes it might take a bit longer, but the bottom line is, it works. PTSD symptoms do not have to last a lifetime. People start to live again.
We all know that life is not easy. World is cruel. People are mean. But self-harming or suicide is never an option. You all are too precious for a loved one. You all are worthy and strong to survive these difficult phases. Never give up on yourself. Always trust an adult or someone to talk to.
I would like to question to the students, to the participants, those who have attended this meeting. What did you like about today's topic? Anyone can speak upon. Yes, from among the participants, what did you like about today's webinar upon mental health?
Ma'am, it was very informative and the students presented it very beautifully, and I liked the videos about the stories of people who were suffering from that mental health issues. It was very informative and we enjoyed every bit of it.
Okay, thank you, Samruddhi. Anyone else?
We really like the thing that they covered something else other than depression too, like anxiety and PTSD.
Yes, thank you, Anushka. Anyone else from the participants? Please speak upon.
Yes, I would like to say something.
Yes, Lena.
Ma'am, people were having that. No, just a minute, sir. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, so I was saying that people were thinking about OCD in their mind, like it's just a little like overdoing things and not a big deal. People who do like washing and sanitizing everything. They take proper care. Like it's an obsession. They knew it, but they didn't knew that it's that dangerous and it could literally harm people. But from this session, I think many people have got to know about what actually OCD is.
Yes. Swaraj, you can also speak upon instead of texting. Yes. Anyone else would like to speak? I have seen only girls speaking now. Any boy representative? Among the teachers? Teachers would like to present their views. Please come forward.
Ma'am, can I say something?
Yes.
So it was really nice. Talking about mental health in general is very difficult, especially where we recently in India, when we started to know about mental health issues as real issues and identifying triggers, and in the video as it was shown how the triggering is and what are the symptoms, because sometimes you know how people casually say ki, my TV is not working, I'm very depressed, or I didn't find my favorite thing, I'm very depressed. That is a very huge term, the word depression, the word anxiety, and it has got meaning, which the video showed that what true OCD is. Sometimes people are like, I get OCD because uh, some they will just think of a small thing as their OCD, but OCD triggers your mind. So it was very good, and it comes to all ages. So you know where it the video show, and also the council ministers, they showcased uh, everything like in their speeches and the introductions which they used to give. So it was good, and I hope that everyone will try to open up, and it will break the prejudice that only girls have feelings and boys don't, because mental health does not, like anything that does not see a gender, they will just affect a human being in all. That's it.
Yes. Thank you, Disha. Among the teachers, anybody would like to speak upon? Dijumani ma'am, would you like to speak? Yeah, now I would like to share my views. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, there is e-tournament. Now, the participants, those who are there, please listen carefully. We are going to send one Google form. It will reach today by 6 o'clock. You need to fill the Google form. You will be asked to make a choice among two different groups, two different types of games. So select it properly and submit the form properly by filling your WhatsApp number, because the WhatsApp number is very important for playing tournaments. They are online matches which will be played. Okay, as you all are stuck up inside the house and all, so we just want that during this summer vacation, let us freshen up yourself by just playing these e-tournaments, online games. Okay, so I thank all of you, those who have attended this meeting.
Ma'am,
Everyone. Yes, Pranav.
our school council president has written up a poem by herself. So I would request her to share that with us.
Okay.
Actually, I write poems on day-to-day basis. It's a way to cope up. So I wrote this poem. Here it goes. The reddish orange sky always makes me wonder, when will the day come and I'll finally surrender? The drowning sun reminds me of myself, sinking slowly while thoughts suffocate themselves. As the darkness rises and I see the blinking lights, it makes me wonder, would it be alright? Because a drowning sun does leave beautiful shades, and the darkest of nights also have a special day. Will the so called mind of mine figure it all out, untangle the mess, while I get ready to stand up from a fall. So this poem basically is like we all know that when the sun sets, it leaves beautiful shades, and when the darkness arises, we see moonlight and the stars. So the moral of this poem is like no matter what happens, there can be a bright side, and we are supposed to look at that bright side. Because if we ignore that bright side, we'll definitely drown in our own mind. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Thank you, Arti.
at last, I would like to thank Akshat Mandot, my classmate, for editing the whole video for us. And also, I would like to give credits to a YouTube channel named Psych Hub for allowing us to show their videos their videos to show in a webinar. Also, at last, I would request Reshmi ma'am to speak a few words on today's session.
I don't think she's there in the meeting.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Good afternoon, kids. Actually, this mental health, the term, it has been taken in a very different manner earlier. Now at this present situation, we have to take care a lot about this. Just like the way we are taking care about our physical strength, we have to take care about our mental strength also. And earlier there are a lot of negatives used to come whenever we are saying something, we are mentally sick. But we have to take each and everything very positively. And then only we can say about that all your, not only your physical health, all the entire physical health also is based on this mental health. So please start boosting up your mental health, either through the yoga, meditation, etc. And there is no need for any hesitated to say that you are feeling sick mentally also. Thank you.
Thank you, Reshmi ma'am. I would also like to speak upon. Yeah, the video was shown. It was taken from YouTube. It was just taken for educational purpose to clear the doubts regarding the terms that were being showcased in today's webinar. And the medications which were shown, it has to be taken under doctor's supervision. So students, please be careful. It was only to give you knowledge about the terms, not about the medication and all that was shown here over here. Okay. Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So with this,
So we are open for an
yeah. Yes, Arya.
we would like to interact with the students if they want to share their experience or if they want to ask some questions. We are open for an interactive session.
Yes. If is anybody wants to ask questions, the participants, you're free to ask. Okay. Is there anyone who wants to ask any questions?
Ma'am, regarding the esports thing, so when would it be and what all are the games?
Yes,
Today,
Pranav, please enlighten us.
Today a Google form will be dropped out. There would be two games, two on 20th and two games on 21st. You could only participate in one of the two. Means each day you could participate in one game. Means at most you could participate at two games. And in the Google form you must give your WhatsApp number so that we'll form a WhatsApp group for each game. And all the other four ministers would be supervising each game. And it would be played in a Zoom meeting in the room made for the game, and the winner would be announced and might be given a certificate from the school side. Thank you. Please participate. And all the teachers also. It's not only for the students. Reshmi ma'am, Neeta ma'am, I request you also to participate.
Sure. But can you say that what type of game? Which we have.
Ma'am, mobile games. Main two games are Stumble Guys and Among Us. These two games can be played by each and everyone present in the participant, and the other two games, Badminton Blitz and Clash Royale, must be having some mobile game sense required. But Stumble Guys and Among Us are the two major games that could be played by each and everyone present over here.
Okay, instructions will be given those who are participating in it. Yes, Disha?
Ma'am, I don't have any questions, but just I wanted to add on something. Can I do that?
Yes.
Sure.
Uh, yes. First of all, yes, it's the same regarding the topic. It is very important to identify and to write down things that bother. Uh, the thing is, whenever we are suffering from something, we don't know what the trigger points are. They mentioned in the video that there are trigger points, but what exactly is a trigger point, you don't know. It differs from person to person. What method for coping you take also differs from person to person. Say for me, heavy breathing does not work. If I am feeling anxious, if I am feeling bad, if I try to breathe heavily, I'll instead of breathing, I'll choke. But for me, what works is to soothe my muscles. I just do something like this with my fingers, all my fingers, and it helps me to slow down my breath. So there are many things that will go on. So don't try and think ki something worked for my friend or my relative or that video person will work for me. Secondly, everything that you do will be different from person to person. So it is okay if you take time to recover from something. It's not a huge deal that you're taking time to recover, you're coping with the loss, because we have lost people in the pandemic. We have lost our loved ones in the pandemic, and we get sad, we get very different feeling. And then there are some people who don't cry. I'll focus mainly on boys only. I have seen people that they try to be strong. They are like, I won't cry, I have to take over my father, or I have to take over someone. Don't do this, guys. It is very important that it's a gender neutral term, and to identify things, to talk it out loud. So if you have lost someone, my heart aches for you. And whatever it is, just I hope that anyone who is suffering gets well soon, and if not get well soon, then copes up well. It reduces. It's a long term process. Just trust the process, go with it, and take a look at the brighter side. As mentioned in the poem, there is a brighter side. I won't say there isn't. It will happen. So there's not a huge don't be under impression that I won't ever succeed in coping it up because someone else didn't do it or someone else did it. It will not happen that quick. That's it, ma'am. Sorry if I extended or I spoke for long, but I wanted to tell this.
No, it's okay, Disha. Thank you.
Thank you, Disha.
So with this, we end today's session, and we hope that in each comments, the students participate enthusiastically. Okay. So with this, we are going to end today's session.